Madam President, I too want to talk for a few minutes about what an incredible process it's been, because as the senator from Alaska stated, that this was all a very unique experience, coming to a new Congress and being the very first bill up and everybody moving to that discussion. So I want to thank the senator from Alaska for her, I know we both, or let's just say both sides of the aisle, tested people on amendments in the amendment process, but I would say it was the trust that we could negotiate that got us through a couple of rough spots, and the fact that I could count on the senator from Alaska for negotiating and trusting what she had to say about how we could move forward in getting these votes and getting things done. So I thank her for that, and I thank her for her leadership. And I certainly can't wait to work with her on broader energy policy legislation, because while I think that people probably still look at us as representing states of Washington and Alaska, what people may not realize is how intertwined Alaska and Washington's economies really are. So if there's anybody who can find commonality on energy policy, even given the differences of our states and the differences of our side of the aisle, I think the senator from Alaska and I will have a chance to do that. And I think this process that we just went through bodes well for us, trying to say to both sides of our aisles that, listen, there are things we can put on the table and discuss in a process we can go through, and that process can work. So I thank her for that, and I look forward to the many things. In fact, we just had a hearing this morning, so I said with two women heading up this leadership in the Energy Committee and two women staff directors, yes, multitasking is front and center in the U.S. Senate. And I would just say, I don't think, a lot of people would see either of us out in the halls making declarations. I think we just hustled our way over here to the floor to try to get things done. And I hope that that's what we can do as we move forward through this process. I, too, want to thank, certainly Karen Phillips on the majority side staff. Hadn't had a chance to work with her yet in this capacity, and certainly appreciated her steady hand on that. But want to, on my side, thank Angela Becker-Dittman, our staff director, who literally did come, I think, the very first day. It's like sometime in mid-January, I think. And so to come back to the Energy Committee and then have the first bill and have it right in front of us and not be totally staffed up, certainly appreciate her leadership and her dedication to energy policy. And Sam Fowler and David Brooks and Jared Leopold on my staff for their hard work on this. And I, too, have a list of staff that I just want to read quickly. Will Dempster, Clayton Allen, Renee Black, Elizabeth Weiner, Tara Billingsley, David Gellers, Al Stamen, Dan Adamson, Elizabeth Craddock, and Nick Sutter, and Alicia Johnson and Carl Sipe. So there are also a couple of other people from my staff, Nicole Tucci and Travis Lumpkin, who also provided help. But I really want to thank the floor staff. First time I've managed a bill on the floor, so Gary Myrick and Tim Mitchell and Trish Engel and Rima from Senator Durbin's office, and Emma, thank you so much for helping us through a process that, as my colleague said, for the most part, didn't take us way late into the night, and got a lot of things accomplished when we could during the day. Needless to say, I'm not as excited about the passage of this legislation as my colleague on the other side of the aisle. But, we did find out some things during this process. We did find out that the majority of the Senate doesn't think that climate change is a hoax. We couldn't quite agree on whether it's significantly caused by man or just caused by man in some areas, but that was a step. We saw huge enthusiasm for energy efficiency. We saw that people were willing to accept voice vote or vote 95 on things that were energy efficiency. So I think that bodes well for the senator from Alaska and I thinking about more energy efficiency policy. And obviously I remain concerned about the holes in the legislation, for everything from the things we didn't get to pass, the trust fund, and the fact that we still need to figure out oil spill cleanup processes on something like tar sand. So I appreciate the senator from Alaska mentioning some of these issues as areas for continued work, because we will definitely take her up on that process. and certainly want to try to take some of the issues that our colleagues like Senator Peters brought up and work on them moving forward. But I do hope that this process, as it relates to this legislation, I hope our colleagues, coming from the state of Alaska, where we have, coming from the state of Washington, where we have so many coal trains and oil trains coming through our area, I wish that the pipeline would be some remedy for us, but it's not. Even according to the railroads and other statistics, a pipeline is not going to make one dent in the number of oil trains coming to the Pacific Northwest. So the fact that the Commandant of the Coast Guard says we don't have a solution for cleaning up tar sands is something that we want to work on and push forward on. And I hope that we can get our colleagues around the fact that the number of crude oil incidents has been growing since 2009. It used to be that we were having a decline, and now, according to the Associated Press, we're seeing an increase, at least 73 different accidents in 2014, and 87% increase over 2009. So what we're seeing is these new sources being developed and new ways of transporting them, and huge acceleration. And I hope that Congress will take a deep breath and get these issues as it relates to safety and security outlined and into law. And I hope that we will take a chance to do that. And I still hope that the President of the United States will, I hope that he vetoes this legislation, because frankly, I want him to be able to negotiate. I want him to be able to negotiate with this company the terms and agreements by which this pipeline is going to be built. I want him to protect the American economy, I want him to protect the American farmers, and I want him to protect the American environment. So, but I do, again, say to my colleague from Alaska that if she and I can get through these few weeks on a bill that a lot of our colleagues are predetermined on, but have so many different amendment discussions, then yes, maybe it bodes well for a bigger bipartisan energy bill. So I'll certainly look forward to working with her on that. And I thank her for her leadership during a time period where she had many, many things on her plate, and this was just one of them. And I hope that we can get some of the issues that we care about on our side of the aisle that I think really do lead to job growth, the energy tax credits, a focus on energy efficiency, and a focus of diversification also on the energy agenda. And with that, I yield the floor.